This is a review of the three branches of the United States federal government as created in Philadelphia in 1787 and written into the United States Constitution, which has been amended 27 times since. The first branch is the executive branch. The leader of the executive branch we call the president. The president's office, primary office, is in the White House. There are two elected members to the executive branch, the president and the vice president, but constitutional authority mostly rests with the president. The vice president only has two constitutional jobs. One, he or she is able to break a tie-breaking vote in the Senate. So if a law is being voted on and it's 50-50, the vice president is able to cast a tie-breaking vote. The vice president is able to cast a tie-breaking vote. Other than that, he or she does not vote in the United States Senate. The only time they can vote is when it's a 50-50 tie. The second constitutional job they have is to become president if something happens to the current president. So this is the executive branch. They are in charge of the day-to-day operation of the government, the FBI, the DEA, the IRS, the United States military. The executive branch has over 1 million individuals working for it. So that is the executive branch. Not too far down the road in Washington, D.C. is the United States Capitol Building. The United States Capitol Building is where the legislative branch of the United States federal government works. So this is the Capitol Building, and our legislative branch is divided into two chambers. The House of Representatives, which has 435 members, and the United States Senate, which has 100 members. Every state has two elected representatives to the United States Senate, two senators, and every state has membership in the United States House of Representatives based on that state's population relative to the whole. And remember, it is Congress's job or the legislative's job to make law or to pass law, as well as to check the other two branches of government. Right behind the United States Capitol Building is the United States Supreme Court Building. This is where the 9 members of the United States Supreme Court go to work. It is in this building that Supreme Court justices are able to review laws. Now, they're not involved in making the laws initially. It's only after a law is passed by Congress and signed off on by the president or passed by Congress over a presidential veto, and it's actually already in effect. So once something is already law, then the Supreme Court, if somebody were to sue the government, for instance, can get involved and perhaps say that a law passed by Congress is unconstitutional. At that moment, it is no longer law. Here are the 9 current members of the United States Supreme Court. They are not elected. So House members are elected, senators are elected, the president is elected. We'll talk about the Electoral College later. These members are appointed. They're appointed by the president. But that's a lot of power to give to the president. So there's a checks and balances. The check is the United States Senate votes and has to confirm presidential appointments. So that is the check on the president's power to appoint Supreme Court justices, is that the United States Senate has to approve presidential appointments. So again, this is the current Supreme Court. This is where they go to work. This is where the White House, this is the office where the president works primarily. In what is called the Oval Office is inside that building. And here is the Capitol Building. This is where senators and members of the House of Representatives go to work. And actually, there's office buildings right around it as well, the Rayburn Building and a few others. So this is where your congressmen and women work. And this is a map of Washington, D.C., the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. So a quick review.